My daughter smiled and said I was confused, that I never bought a lottery ticket. I nodded, but I wasn't confused. I was remembering everything, including the store clerk's name. I remembered the color of his shirt, the scratch of the coin I used, the feeling in my chest when those numbers popped up on the screen. I might be old. I might take my tea with 2 pills every morning. But I know what I saw, and I know what I bought. She took the ticket, said I left it on the counter, said she was helping. Then the story changed. She said there was no ticket, that maybe I dreamed it, that I was getting forgetful, that I should stop watching so much TV. The worst part? People believed her. My sister, my neighbor, even the man at the bank looked at me with soft eyes when I tried to ask if the winnings had gone through. Like I was losing my grip. Like I was a child. But I wasn't unraveling. I was unraveling her. I started keeping notes, dates, receipts. I went back to the store and smiled at the clerk. Asked for the camera footage just to ease my mind. He laughed, but he burned it to a disc. Said he liked my hat. I thanked him and went home. I didn't scream. I didn't accuse. I watched, and I waited, because I wasn't senile. I wasn't broken. I was paying attention. And soon, so would the rest of them. She came into my life screaming, red-faced and strong-lunged. The nurse said she had spirit, and I remember thinking, good. She'll need it in this world. I was 19, alone. Her father had disappeared before the 2nd trimester, leaving nothing but an unpaid light bill and a broken promise. But I didn't cry. I rocked her in a borrowed bassinet and told her stories from my own mother's tongue. I worked. I washed. I prayed. I saved every coin and spent every breath loving her. We didn't have much. 1 pair of shoes at a time. Second-hand school uniforms I sewed patches over so she wouldn't be teased. I skipped more meals than I ever told her, made dinners stretch with water and hope. I took night shifts at the textile factory, walked home in the dark with aching feet and dreams that never complained. My one indulgence? A lottery ticket every Friday. Just one. Just in case. Not because I wanted riches. I just wanted a porch. A little porch with a chair and some quiet, where I could breathe without thinking about next month's bills. She used to draw hearts in the steam on the window while I packed her lunch. Said I was the best mama in the world. I believed her. I built birthdays from scraps, turned old socks into dolls, burned my fingers gluing sequins to paper crowns. I still remember the year I made a cake from crushed crackers, canned peaches, and condensed milk. She said it was the best cake she'd ever had. We didn't have a TV, but I told her stories under one flickering light bulb. Voices of queens and dragons and faraway islands. She always fell asleep smiling. I worked. I washed. I prayed. When she got older, I cheered her through everything. Her first school play, her graduation, even her first heartbreak. I stayed up all night when she was sick, held her hand through doctor's visits, and smiled through my own worries so she wouldn't feel mine. I gave her everything I didn't have, so she could one day have what she wanted. Even when she moved out and life got quiet, I never stopped loving her loudly. I'd call to check in, send little care packages, drop off soup when she had a cold. I never expected much in return, just kindness, just honesty. But somewhere along the way, the girl who kissed my hands and called me her angel became a woman who hesitated to introduce me to her friends. Said I talked too long, that I forgot things, that maybe I was getting tired. Maybe I was, but not in the way she meant. I was tired from carrying the weight of love that never got laid down. I was tired from smiling at someone who started looking through me. I still bought my 1 ticket every Friday, folded it gently into my purse like a prayer. Not for greed, not for show, just for the dream of a little porch, some peace, a soft ending for a hard-working life. I worked, I washed, I prayed. I sacrificed my name, my rest, my youth, all so she could build a better future. I just never thought that future would come with a lie written in my place. It started small. She said she'd take over paying the bills, just to make things easier, Ma. I let her. I didn't think twice. She'd always been good with numbers, always quick to help when I couldn't figure out the cable remote or when the bank's website asked for too many passwords. She added her name to the utility accounts, said it would be smoother. I smiled, grateful. I told myself this was how family should be. I didn't notice that she stopped asking me first. Then came the comments. Soft ones. Casual. It's good you're still so sharp. Most folks your age start slipping. She laughed when she said it. I laughed too. But something in the way she looked at me lingered. Like she was watching for a crack. Like she expected me to break at any moment. She didn't hold eye contact like she used to. Didn't ask about my stories. Just nodded like she was waiting for me to finish. Her patience wore thin, like a thread pulled too tight. Every Friday, I still bought my lottery ticket. Same store. Same clerk. He always gave me the pink one when he could. Said it was lucky. That week, I had a cough and sore legs. She offered to go for me. I'll get it. You rest, she said, reaching for my purse before I could answer. I hesitated, just for a second, but I nodded. I trusted her. I wanted to trust her. The next morning, she came over with fresh nails, a new purse, sleek and leather, the kind she used to say was too expensive. She mentioned a weekend trip she was planning, something about the coast. I asked her casually, did you get the ticket? She blinked, laughed. Oh, Ma, I forgot. Said it like it was nothing. Changed the subject so fast I didn't know how to return. But something in my chest tightened, like a drawer you've opened 1,000 times, suddenly not sliding the way it should. I told myself I was being silly. I told myself maybe she did forget. Maybe I dropped it. Maybe I hadn't bought it at all. I even checked the trash, just to ease my mind. Nothing. Then I saw the news. Someone had won from my corner store. A single ticket. Claimed already. I stared at the screen like it was in another language. I reached for my purse. Checked the zipper pocket where I always tuck it. Empty. The next time she visited, she brought flowers. Talked too fast. Smiled too wide. I looked at her, really looked, and saw the lie sitting behind her teeth like a secret waiting to be swallowed. I asked her again, gently, are you sure you didn't find a ticket, baby? Her smile faltered just slightly. Ma, you probably dreamed it, she said. You've been forgetting things lately. She looked at me like I was old, fragile, and forgetful, not like the woman who gave her the world. And for the first time, I didn't believe her. But I pretended to, because if there's one thing I've learned, it's that silence lets truth gather its strength. I asked her again about the ticket. Softly, gently, just to clear my mind. I'd been going over it all night in my head, retracing my steps like a woman trying to find where she left her shadow. Are you sure, baby? I said, you didn't see anything at the store? Not even the ticket in the pink slip. Her face changed. Not hurt. Not confused. Just sharp. Like I'd crossed an invisible line. Ma, you need to rest, she said. You're starting to forget things. She said it with that tone. The one people use with children or very old people they've already given up on. I swallowed my shame and smiled like it was fine. But something was happening behind her eyes, behind the soft voice and the hand on my shoulder. Something careful. Something cold. A few days later, she drove me to a doctor's office. Said it was just a checkup. The nurse spoke slowly, used my name too much. The doctor asked me the date, the president, the year. I answered all of it. But he kept writing notes. My daughter leaned in and said I'd been forgetting things at home. She laughed sweetly like it was no big deal, but I saw her watching the pen, watching what they'd write down. I wanted to ask why she was doing this, but I didn't, because the moment I questioned her again, I knew she'd turn it into proof that something was wrong with me. She'd say I was paranoid, that I needed help, that I was confused. A week later, my debit card stopped working. At the pharmacy. The same one I'd gone to for 15 years. The clerk, a sweet boy named Ricky, looked embarrassed. It says blocked, miss, he whispered. I felt my hands start to shake. I went home, turned on the old laptop, tried to log into my bank account. Password denied. I tried the other one. Locked. I called the bank. They said they'd need to verify through the secondary account holder. My daughter. I sat there for a long time, staring at the loading screen. The tea in my cup went cold. She had told them I was slipping, hadn't she? She was planting seeds one by one, and they were starting to bloom into questions I couldn't answer. Then came the phone calls. From cousins, from my church friend, from my sister, all with that same soft voice. How are you feeling lately? Is everything okay? Maybe you should take it easy for a while. They didn't say it outright, but I heard it in their tones. She told them I was fading, losing track, making things up. Even the neighbor, the one who used to wave at me every morning, started walking her dog a little faster past my porch. She used to chat with me about the roses. Now she just nodded like I might forget her name mid-sentence. And all the while, my daughter kept smiling, kept stopping by with soup and mail and that same bright, patient voice. Like she was doing me a favor. Like she was the only thing holding my world together. But I knew better. I knew the difference between care and control, between kindness and calculation. She was erasing me, not with cruelty, but with a plan. A patient, careful plan. That's when I found it. A receipt, folded deep in the trash bin under coffee grounds and torn coupons. I was taking out the garbage, something she said I shouldn't be doing anymore. And there it was. The pink slip. The one from the store. The one with the winning numbers. I sat on my porch, holding the receipt I found in the trash. The numbers didn't lie, but my daughter did. I wasn't confused. I wasn't slipping. I wasn't vanishing. I was watching. And now I had something real. I didn't say a word. Not to her. Not to anyone. I just folded the receipt and tucked it into the back of my address book. The one with the leather cover and frayed corners. I made tea that night like I always did. 2 bags, a splash of milk, and I sat at the table while she scrolled through her phone in the living room, laughing at something I couldn't hear. I watched the clock. I watched her reflection in the glass. I didn't feel like a mother anymore. I felt like a witness. The next morning, I went to the corner store. Same time as always. Same blue smudge on the front door. The clerk, David, looked up and smiled. Didn't see you last Friday, he said. I smiled back, steady. You remember the week before that? I asked. When I came in and bought my ticket, the pink slip, like I always do? He nodded slowly. Yeah, you were humming something. Billie Holiday, I think. You were in a good mood. I let that sit for a moment. Then I asked quietly if they still kept the security footage. His eyes shifted. You okay, miss? He asked. I nodded. I'm just making sure I wasn't dreaming. He burned the tape for me. Said it wasn't official, said he could lose his job, but he didn't like how I looked when I asked. Said I seemed like someone who needed to be believed. I thanked him. Walked home slow. My fingers never left that disc the whole way back. That night, I waited until she left. Said she had a dinner thing, some girls' night, with people I'd never met. As soon as her car pulled away, I put the disc in my old DVD player. The screen flickered. There I was, clear as day, coat on, hair tied back, reaching into my purse, picking the pink ticket, smiling, paying, holding it carefully, folding it, putting it in the small inside pocket I always used for safe things, then walking out the door. Alone, I paused the tape, rewound, watched again, not because I doubted myself, but because I wanted to memorize it. I wanted to tattoo that moment onto my mind. They told me I was fading, but the tape showed I was never clearer. From that night on, I started writing. I pulled out an old composition notebook from the drawer, the one I used to jot down soup recipes and phone messages. I wrote the date of the ticket, what I wore, what David said, what the tape showed. I started flipping back through my bank statements, photocopied the pink receipt, made notes on what changed after that day. When my debit card stopped working, when she took me to the doctor, when she started handling my mail, I kept everything, tucked it away in the bottom of my laundry bin, the one she never touched because it smelled like lavender and old age. I kept smiling. I let her keep her role, let her cook and tidy, and check my pill box like she was doing something noble. But all the while I was collecting, building, lining the walls of my silence with stone. I made no accusations. I asked no questions. Because I didn't need answers anymore, I was gathering proof. Every time she spoke gently, I wrote down what she said. Every time she moved something from its place, I marked the date. I became my own historian, my own detective, my own truth keeper. She thought she'd taken the narrative, folded me out of the story like a corner crease. But I was still there, line by line, breath by breath, memory by memory. I wore my best scarf that day, the deep blue one with little silver threads my sister once brought back from her honeymoon. I folded it neatly over my shoulders and packed my purse with three things: the security tape, my pink receipt, and the notebook. I didn't ask my daughter for a ride. I took the bus, sat near the window, gloved hands folded, knees pressed together like I used to sit in church. My heart didn't race. My hands didn't shake. Because I knew, finally, I wasn't going to beg for my truth. I was going to file it. The legal aid office was quiet, tucked between a dry cleaner and a used bookstore. The woman at the front desk asked if I had an appointment. I said no. I opened my purse and took out the disc. I told her softly, I believe my daughter stole my lottery winnings, and told people I was senile so no one would listen. The receptionist looked at me for a moment, not pitying, not dismissive, and then nodded. Wait here. 10 minutes later, they called me back to see Gloria. She looked like someone who didn't have time for games. Sharp eyes, gray streaks in her bun, a gold watch and no jewelry. She didn't smile when I walked in, just pointed to the chair and said, "Let's see what you've got." I handed her the tape. I watched her face as she played it. No reaction, just stillness. When it ended, she turned to me and said, "We'll file tomorrow." No pep talk, no disbelief, just action. Her office smelled like paper and coffee. It felt like justice. She explained the steps: fraud report, elder abuse investigation, temporary financial freeze. "It won't be quick," she said, "but it will be thorough." I nodded. I wasn't in a hurry. I just wanted the truth, to have a place to stand. Within days, letters were filed. Court dates were set. A detective from the Financial Crimes Unit came to ask questions. I showed him everything. My receipts, my notes, the timeline. He shook his head and said, "She really did all this to her own mother?" I didn't answer. Some questions answer themselves. Word got out quick. My cousin called first, said she'd heard something strange. Then my niece messaged me asking if it was true. I said yes. That was all. Yes. The panic started to ripple. Not from me, from them. From the ones who had nodded along when she said I was slipping. The ones who had started calling me poor thing and sweet old lady like I was fading ink. My daughter showed up once, no warning, all tears and apologies and frantic gestures. I didn't open the door. I watched her from the side window. She paced, clutched her phone, and left a note tucked under the mat. I left it there until the wind took it. Court came fast. Not the verdict, but the moment. That morning, I dressed slowly, brushed my hair back, tied my scarf, carried the same purse. Gloria met me at the courthouse steps. She didn't say much, just looked at me and nodded, like I'd already done what needed doing. Inside, everything was too bright, the walls too tall, but I didn't shrink. I sat on the bench, hands on my lap, eyes forward. My daughter was already there, hair curled, eyes down. Her lawyer whispered something. She didn't look at me once. When it was my turn, I stood. My voice shook in the courtroom, but it was the truth, not volume, that made the walls tremble. I read from my notebook. Not everything. Just enough. Just the parts that mattered. About the ticket, the receipt, the frozen accounts, the silence, the tape. I didn't embellish. I didn't accuse. I just recounted. Like a woman placing bricks back into a home she was told she no longer owned. The judge listened. No interruptions. No disbelief. Just stillness. When I sat back down, Gloria whispered, "You did well." I exhaled slowly, like I hadn't realized I'd been holding the air inside for weeks. The court issued a full investigation, froze her assets, opened a case on elder financial exploitation. She would be facing both civil charges and a state inquiry. They offered me restitution. I nodded, not for the money, but for what it meant, an official, legal acknowledgement that I wasn't crazy, that I wasn't confused, that I had been right all along. When we walked out, the reporters tried to speak to me. I didn't say a word. I let the scarf flutter in the wind and kept walking. The courtroom was quiet when they wheeled in the little TV on a cart. It looked like something from a schoolroom. Outdated, clunky. But when the screen lit up, I felt the heat rise behind my eyes. There I was, coat buttoned to the top, reaching into my purse, choosing the pink slip, paying with exact change, smiling at David, the clerk. The timestamp blinked in the corner, clear, unmoving. The judge leaned forward slightly. The clerk's voice could even be heard faintly over the hum of the store. My daughter didn't breathe. Her lawyer tried to object before the video played, claiming it was irrelevant, but the judge allowed it. Said it was central to establishing truth. So we all watched together. Her face didn't move at first. Calm, practiced, like a woman waiting to spin something. But as the footage played, and my hands folded that ticket and slid it into the inside pocket of my coat, her mask began to crack. When the video ended, no one spoke for several seconds. Even the bailiff looked down like he didn't want to witness what came next. The judge adjusted her glasses, cleared her throat, and spoke clearly. Restitution is ordered in full, with additional penalties to be determined pending further review of fraudulent activity. She didn't look at my daughter. She looked at me and nodded. The story hit the news that afternoon. Elderly woman wins case against daughter in lottery theft. It ran in the local paper, then the radio, then the internet. I didn't read the comments. I didn't need the noise. The truth was louder than any headline. She tried to explain. After court, reporters caught her outside, asking questions. She said things like, it was a misunderstanding, and she didn't know what she was doing, and I was protecting her assets. But the tape said otherwise. The tape showed the moment the lie began, and the moment it ended. Inside, she never looked at me. She sat at her table scribbling notes, whispering with her lawyer, pretending she could still control the story. I didn't speak to her, didn't give her the grace of a nod or the weight of my eyes. I just gathered my things, my purse, my scarf, and waited for Gloria to finalize the papers. On my way out, I passed her in the hallway. She stood near the exit, eyes red, face pale, lips trembling. She opened her mouth, maybe to beg, maybe to spin, maybe to lie one more time. I smiled. Just a small, gentle thing. Then I kept walking. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't curse or cry. I let the tape speak for me. Let the timestamp, the receipt, the clerk's familiar nod do the shouting. I'd been silent long enough. Now, the evidence did all the talking. Outside, the air was cool and full of birdsong. I tightened my scarf against the wind and walked down the courthouse steps slowly, like a woman in no rush. I passed by a bench and sat for a moment, not because I was tired, but because I finally could. A young woman nearby offered me a smile. Good day, she asked. I looked at her and replied, the best kind. A true one. The first call came 2 days after the ruling. I watched the phone ring from across the room, the screen lighting up with her name like a ghost knocking on my window. I didn't move. Let it ring. Let it end. Then came another, and another. I turned the ringer off. 3 days later, the letter arrived. Cream envelope. Her handwriting. Inside, a folded page. Shaky words. Too many sorry s. Not enough truth. She said she never meant to hurt me, that things got out of hand, that she wasn't thinking clearly. But I remembered every moment she spoke over me. Every time she told someone I was slipping. Every doctor visit. Every account she locked me out of. She was thinking clearly then. Very clearly. Family called too. Some gentle. Some frustrated. All with the same line, she didn't mean it. I stayed polite. I said, thank you for calling. Then I hung up. There was nothing left to explain. I didn't reply to the letter. I didn't write back. I tucked it, unopened, into the back of the drawer with the old birthday cards she used to make with glitter and glue. I let it sit there, not as a keepsake, but as a record. A reminder that sometimes people write apologies because they want to feel better, not because they want you to heal. Now, I sit on the porch most mornings. My tea stays warm longer in my favorite mug. The birds are loud this time of year in a good way. Life hums on, gentle and whole. I check my phone sometimes, not for voicemails, just for weather and crossword puzzles. She called me senile, then called me sorry, But I'm not either. I buy myself flowers now. Once a week, sometimes twice. Not for any occasion, just because I like the way yellow tulips lean toward the window and how baby's breath softens everything around it. I place them in the blue vase near the sink, right where the sun hits mid-morning. I bake again, too. Not for company, not for holidays, just for me. The smell of cinnamon rising from my favorite bread makes the house feel like a home again, not a place where suspicion grew behind every drawer. The money never mattered the way people think. I didn't play the lottery for yachts or cruises. I played for a porch, a little security, a kindness to myself for the years I spent patching jeans and mending other people's holes. I still have the receipt, still have the tape, but I don't look at them anymore. They serve their purpose. They did what I needed them to do, remind the world I wasn't confused. I was careful. I went back to the quilting club on Wednesdays. They welcomed me like I'd never left. We sit around a long table now, drinking coffee from mismatched mugs, trading fabric scraps and laughter. Someone brought in a new girl last week, said she was nervous. I told her, everyone's nervous the first time. That's how you know you care. She smiled and stitched a little tighter after that. I've learned how to email, how to Zoom, even how to send photos from my phone. The library offers classes for seniors, and I signed up for all of them. Not because I need to, but because I want to. I like knowing that my world can grow still, even after everything. That I'm not done learning, not done living. Each morning, I walk a little farther. First to the corner, then to the park. Now down past the bakery and back again. My legs complain sometimes, but I talk to them like old friends. We're still here. We're still moving. The neighbors wave more often now. I think they see something in me they hadn't noticed before. Or maybe I just walk taller. Either way, I wave back. No hesitation. No shrinking. Sometimes I think about her. My daughter. Her hands. Her laugh. The way she used to braid my hair when she was little. I don't cry. I don't wish for different endings anymore. Some stories close quietly. Not with slamming doors, but with pages turned. And I've turned mine. I don't need revenge to sleep well. I need honesty. I need light in the kitchen and tulips on the table and a voice in my heart that says, you were never the problem. You were the one holding it all together. I hold my head higher now. Not out of pride. Out of clarity. I wasn't the one forgetting. I was the one they underestimated.